Hello and welcome to another episode of the Tip Balls Podcast. I am your host, Sam Randazzo, and I am joined once again, thankfully, by my two absolutely glorious co-hosts. To my right, it is the one, the only, the fuck I will.
The fuck I will.
Uncle Sam.
Good evening.
It just doesn't make sense.
I missed it.
And to my left, it is none other, back again from his California adventure, our very own, Mr. Zolo, Mike Palazzolo. The dude's hitting hard today. The Aladdin's already kicked in. And behind the
No
deck,
Aladdin in the fridge.
well, that's because the producer didn't refill the fridge with Aladdin.
Sorry, I don't drink that bullshit, and I didn't know there was none left in there.
You need to go get the case off the top, and you need to refill the fridge.
We need to
Did you
start.
guys see
We need
me
to start
chat?
drinking Ghosts.
Did you see me in the
Okay.
chat on Monday?
What are you talking? What's a ghost? Yes, we saw you in the chat.
Better energy drink.
We were happy to have you there, as always.
Happy to be there.
Yeah. What did you think of the show from afar?
I didn't see Fridays because Friday was a whirlwind for me.
Yeah.
Just a lot going on, and I was trying to keep up with the Harbaugh news while I was on the road. So oh, you were in the morning. It was
Yeah,
in
we
the
did
morning.
the 7 a.m. show
Yeah.
Friday.
No, I was fast asleep. I didn't.
Yeah,
I
it was 3:30
closed down
in
a
the
morning. We
California
figured that.
bar. So that's 2 a.m., which is 5 a.m. here, and you guys went 2 hours after
Yeah,
that.
so.
there's no shot. And then even Monday was tough. I was driving all over San Diego on Monday, but we ended up making it work. It was nice to. I was driving around, and we ended up with the roof off of the Jeep, and we were keeping up with the chat. It was a good time. It was a fun time.
Good weekend?
One of my best California trips by far.
Okay, where'd you eat?
So that's the thing.
Was it an In-N-Out style weekend?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, it was. So Friday when we got in, have you ever done San Diego before?
No, I've only gone down Newport Beach.
Next time you go there, Newport Beach is also incredible.
Newport Beach is fucking awesome.
Yeah, my uncle lives in Huntington, so I go there pretty frequently too. But next time you guys go, I want you to tell me, and I want you to meet me in San Diego.
Okay.
Because San Diego is L.A., but without all the bullshit.
Yeah, I'm done with L.A.
And it still has
way
the
too
Michelin
cool.
star restaurants. Everything's closer together. It's way prettier than L.A. in my opinion.
Well, Newport Beach is a million times pretty.
Oh yeah,
you go see Tent
County's
City?
the best. Pardon me.
Did you go see Tent City?
That's San Francisco.
That's San
not
Francisco,
San
and I
Diego.
avoid
Shithole-
as someone
shithole
that worked in
capital
the
of the
wine
United
industry.
States.
I found a way to avoid San Francisco like the plague. I would
Okay.
go around San Francisco. I'd go through Oakland to get to Napa when I had to. Yeah, San Diego's outstanding. Didn't eat anywhere crazy. I had pizza. Friday night I had excellent Korean barbecue. Saturday we ate our way through both Disney parks, which is one of my favorite things to do.
Incredible. Yeah.
Both Disney parks.
Epcot is.
Yeah, there's no Epcot. It's the equivalent to Epcot's California Adventure. It's like a California version of Epcot.
Yeah.
And that's incredible. And then I had club level tickets to the game on Sunday too.
Beautiful.
So I was able to
Ate
eat my
through
way through.
SoFi.
Yeah, oh, it was incredible. Still was able to get the LA dog at the end of the game too, and street tacos.
There we go.
Yeah, it was great.
Uncle Sam, how's your weekend?
My what?
Your weekend?
You already asked that
A
on
weekend.
Monday.
Oh, you did. You did.
Oh
ask that
shit!
Monday.
I forgot
fucker.
it's only
What are
Wednesday.
you, drunk?
Not yet. Well, how's your week been so far?
Glorious.
How was your Tuesday?
Glorious.
Well, it was glorious. I don't
Are you talking shit right now?
know.
You're talking fucking shit right now.
Good evening.
You're talking shit right now.
No, I think the algorithm's just a little off. Is all it is.
Are you pulling the Mitch McConnell right now? Is the short circuit
Maybe.
kicking in? Anyways, Bruce, how you doing?
Hello.
Hello. Oh, okay. Well, my week was great. Thanks for asking. Anyways, we have a lot to discuss today. Obviously, we're going to start out with the news as always. We have a Monday night game to recap that was very controversial, that cost somebody their job, and that proved a lot of the things we know about the team in Buffalo.
Can I say something?
Of course.
I went back and listened to the entire show. I just did. I mean, obviously, I was tuned in for some of Monday's show, but I went back and listened to the whole show a couple hours ago. And you guys even you who picked the game wrong, you guys were spot on. Other than the shootout, you guys were spot on with your Monday night predictions.
Thank you.
You nailed that heads may roll and Sean McDermott. We kind of nailed that in the summer as a group. We all said Sean McDermott was on the hot seat. We all said you nailed Josh Allen not being able to play from behind. We all said that was going to happen, that Josh Allen can't play from behind. And you guys were really good with your Monday night predictions.
I truly believe that McDermott might be gone at the end of this year.
I think there's a good chance.
If they get bounced and they don't make the playoffs, I
Yeah.
believe he's gone.
So
It's looking that way too.
I've got a really, really hot take about that.
Please.
Okay.
And honestly, I think we should just talk about it before I do the news. So I'm excited about it. So I don't know if anybody watched Pat McAfee yesterday, but Dan Orlovsky was on there. Okay. And they were talking about.
I know
why
where
are you
you're
shaking
going.
Your head.
I know where you're going. I know what you're going to say.
I know where you're going.
I don't
Go
think
ahead.
this is the team, but go ahead.
Okay.
I don't think it is either.
Okay. He said that Bill Belichick, it's already predestined that Bill Belichick's going to leave the New England Patriots after this year. And he's already has his team picked out. It's all done besides the paperwork.
And he has control. And he has control.
GM as well.
Personnel control.
Am I convinced 100%?
Shout out to President Baker.
Am I convinced 100% that it's the Buffalo Bills? No, I'm not, because I think there's another team that's glaring that makes more sense. But would it not be the most Belichick thing of all time to leave New England to go somewhere in division to take a quarterback that perfectly fits his mold, that he can refine a little bit, to go into Buffalo where they're lacking defensive motivation and talent, and take a group of running backs that's pretty semi-ragtag and lead them to a Super Bowl in division that he just left and embarrass the Patriots one last time and leave? It makes perfect sense to me. But I don't think he's going to go there. But
I don't think it's Buffalo.
It's the ultimate Belichick.
I don't think similar to Brady, I don't think he'd do that to the Patriots.
You don't think he would?
No, I don't think he's petty enough to hate the Patriots. I think it's going to be a grand send-off. I think we're going to know at the end of the year that they're going to let it go out, that this is his last game or his last 2 games, and he's going to get a send-off, and it's going to be no hard feelings, similar to how it was with Brady. And then in a couple years' time, when he's done, they're going to welcome him back with open arms. I have a team in mind. I have 2 teams in mind, but I have one in particular. I want to hear your team first.
The Los Angeles Chargers.
Los Angeles Chargers. Good weather, got the quarterback, got most of the pieces. A team that he could change from the inside out. Mainly good weather, though. We all know Bill Belichick loves to fuck, and he could get it done over there.
You
think I'm wrong?
Video of him leaving the house shirtless
You think I'm
on
wrong?
Nantucket or whatever.
He brings his son. He brings
getting it
Steve
tucked in
Belichick with
Nantucket.
him to run the defense. And I think the Chargers make a ton of sense. The Raiders kind of make sense, but I think they're trending towards Antonio Pierce
I
full
think
time.
he's the guy. Yep.
Gentlemen,
Yeah.
Shout out to Jack.
The Chargers. I'm with you on that one.
Yeah. So that was interesting.
I don't think the Chargers.
Who's your team?
Raiders.
No, this is the problem with the Raiders. One,
What?
you had a guy who's come.
Oh, stop. You had a
I
fucking
didn't even
guy
get to.
who
You told me
couldn't
to stop before I
couldn't
even
hold
got to
his
say what I
fucking
want.
jockstrap.
Is this what it's going to be again today?
He can't hold Belichick's jockstrap.
Guess what? They
Wow.
brought in the Patriot
Wow.
way. They brought in the Patriot way. Did the Patriot
Part
way work?
ownership maybe said, you know what? I can get us Bill Belichick.
Yeah, right.
I don't think you can give part ownership the way the laws are written to a coach or a team at the moment. I got a third team that makes the most sense too.
Part ownership meaning Tom Brady.
Oh, Brady,
is
yeah.
bringing in Bill Belichick.
Bullshit.
Hello?
Now, I
Okay.
think
They had the Patriot way. It didn't work. They fired him. They got a guy who does the opposite of the Patriot way, and it's working. So then why would you get rid of him when all the players love him and you're winning games to bring in a guy who takes you in reverse to what you just fired?
the Raiders make a ton of sense. I just don't think they're going to make the same mistake twice. I don't think they're going to let Antonio Pierce go because
I can't believe
they're
that
not
Bill
great.
Belichick would be considered a mistake.
No. Firing Antonio Pierce, firing a sure thing the coach that did a good job mid-season, especially when the vibes are completely
Let's say
different.
keep him out of it. He just stays in GM.
Listen.
At a GM
No,
role.
he's gonna. I think he wants to coach to pass Shula. I
See,
believe that.
you just said something that I found that you're wrong about.
What?
Bringing in Belichick is a mistake.
I don't think so.
Bringing in Belichick in this day
I
and
think
age.
if he's brought into a team that already has talent there, he'll work wonders with
Yeah,
them.
but why? Why do we keep thinking
Right.
that? Because every single one of his understudies who's gone somewhere has failed miserably outside of Mike Vrabel. Patricia doesn't work. Josh McDaniels doesn't work X2. Like, at the end of the day, that Patriot way of thinking, that archaic Belichickian, we're going to, lead with an iron fist and this is not fun and all that, it doesn't work in this day and age. The Mike McDaniel works. The Antonio Pierce thing is working. Like,
You want a
these
player's
guys-
coach. You want a player's coach.
Correct. These guys are not conforming to the coaching staff like they used to. That's why I think the Belichickian era of we're going to coach it that way is not going to work. Like, honest to God, if Belichick wanted to be an extremely successful coach going forward, he should go coach in college. Go coach against Nick Saban. Because I think the era of the way he does things is gone in the NFL.
So I have a third team. First things first, I think we're missing the boat on one element. One would think it's a team that already has an agreement or that's already fired their coach or is going to fire their coach. So we don't know if Brandon Staley is a sure thing. We all think he should be fired. That being said, the Chargers still have a shot at the playoffs. They can make a run in the bottom of that AFC. It's going to be tough, but they have a very favorable schedule going forward, and they can get into the playoffs. I don't know if it's going to be the Chargers. The team that's made the most sense, especially on Twitter, because their fan base has been pushing for it. Do you know who it is?
The New York Giants.
No, it's the Commanders.
Ooh.
It's the Commanders. You have new, good ownership. That's that perfect Bob Kraft type ownership. They're perfectly hands-on, but they let the people that run the team. He's got Sam Howell. He's got pieces on offense. They're ready to go on offense. He just needs to overhaul the defense a little bit, which he's more than capable of doing.
God, that does make way too much sense.
And it's not far from there. It's D.C. It's a great market for Belichick. I think the Commanders make a little bit of sense. And he can go, that division's always up for grabs. I think the Eagles' window is closing. The Giants are in disarray. And then the Cowboys are the Cowboys. I think their window is partially closing as well. Either way, that's the division that experiences the most turnover in division
If
winners.
he went to the Cowboys,
Oh, that'll never.
if Jerry Jones told fat fuck Mike McCarthy to get the fuck out and just said, you know what, I'm bringing in Bill. And said, Bill, I made the mistake years ago of butting in when Jimmy was here. I'm not going to do that with you.
Yeah, but this is the thing. The
I'm going to
Cowboys-
turn you loose. You have unlimited resources. You are the new head coach of the Dallas Cowboys.
You're
and
basically,
GM.
you're just writing NFL fan fiction over there. You just want to make the Jimmy Johnson arc whole and have him redeemed by bringing Belichick in and going to win the Super Bowl for the first time since '96.
The Cowboys don't make sense because the problem is Cowboys are going to win 12 games this year,
They're not going to fire their asshole
and Mike
coach.
McCarthy will still.
It's the same. The Cowboys have been in perpetual purgatory for 2 decades.
Yeah.
They were in purgatory with, Bill Parcells didn't do anything, but they were in major purgatory with Jason Garrett, and they're going to remain in purgatory right now. It's just how they roll. They just keep the guy because he's doing just enough. Meanwhile, they don't realize that deep down this isn't the guy that can win the big
Yeah,
game.
but Jerry's getting old. He's ready to die.
He's been ready to die for 20 years.
Unless he's reincarnated. and
He's
we don't
one
know
extra Viagra pill from ready to die, in my opinion.
it. No, I mean, if he really wants to extend his life, he needs to call Jimmy back.
Anyway, should we do the news?
Extend?
News.
I'm sorry.
All right, first things first, a little piece of news from Carolina. Panthers head coach Frank Reich said that he is resuming the team's play calling duties starting this Sunday with Dallas. So they make a little change there in play callers. And also, tight end Hayden Hurst is in the concussion protocol. He is doubtful for this Sunday's game against the Cowboys. In the biggest piece of the news of the day, it finally happened. Rub and Tug Watson officially out for the year.
Son of a bitch.
He is going to have season-ending surgery on his shoulder before the end of the week.
Is it his throwing shoulder?
It is.
Or is it his non-throwing
He,
shoulder?
he played for 2.5 quarters with the torn shoulder, and he wanted to just shoot up for the rest of the year
Why didn't he just do that?
because the doctor said your shoulder will literally crumble if that happens. You need to get it.
I don't
repaired.
buy that.
That sucks because I thought that the Browns had a good
Because
shot to win the
that was
division.
my pick to win the division this year.
And
Can you bark for us in honor of him?
Not
real
yet.
quick?
well, they're not going to win.
Not until P.J. Walker wins a couple of games. then I
Well,
will.
there's an interesting take there. So they came out today and said that Dorian Thompson-Robinson will be the starter on Sunday.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Are you serious?
So it is not going to
what
be
the fuck?
PJ.
My guess is it's short leash. My guess is it'll be a short leash. When Dorian Thompson-Robinson started the first time, he was 3 weeks into his NFL career. He's got a little bit under his belt now, and he's got the defense, and maybe they
bullshit. He's
could
garbage.
change things
dude.
around.
Come
He was
on.
great in college.
Yeah, everybody's great in college.
Well, here's the good news for you: is if he's bad, you can go back to PJ Walker and see how it goes.
The Bengals have ruled out wide receiver T. Higgins
believe
for
they gave up Josh Dobbs. You believe they gave up Josh Dobbs? He was on the fucking Cleveland Brown roster at the beginning of the year. It got fucking traded to Arizona.
Well, okay. If
We
we all,
should have kept him.
if we
They'd
all
have been
had
winning all
if,
these games.
if we all had a crystal, you know what? Can we call a pause, a timeout on something real quick?
Yeah.
I am so fucking sick and tired of the Josh Dobbs thing already. Like, just stop.
I got a
Everybody
take.
did the
Just rather
same.
have
you
a
are
healthy
Josh
thing
Everybody
right
did
now?
the same
Shit.
thing with
I'll take
Mike
the fucking
White.
Josh Dobbs thing.
Everybody did the same thing with Mike White, and then he came
And
out in his fourth
you're
game
right.
and shit the fucking
And everybody
bed.
does the same thing with our little boy in fucking San Francisco.
No, Brock
Brock
Purdy's
Purdy's done it for
consistently
Go fuck
20
yourself.
games.
doing it for over a year.
I would take Josh Dobbs over him any day of the
Can
week.
I do the Josh Dobbs real quick?
Please.
I'm not quite sick of it because I like the stories and all that, and good for him. I know you guys talked about how you said that the Vikings won the game, and I think you said that the Saints choked the game.
Yeah.
Never.
I think the Saints choked the game. I love watching Josh Dobbs play. I think it's been great. I think it's only a matter of time before it blows up. I think it can't last long. I think they're a couple injuries away. I don't know how he's going to get the ball to Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison at the same time, and Hawkinson. But I like watching it. I mean, good for him. I actually do like watching it. I think it's a great story. I just don't know how much longer it's going to last. People who are panicking about the Vikings, by the way, they still got to play the Lions twice. That's all I got to say about that.
Jack just came in the chat. He wants to know when Bruce is shaving his eyebrows in honor of Josh Dobbs. We're still about 900. We're
The
still
deadline, it's already over the deadline.
What do you mean?
No, there's never a deadline.
There's never a
There
deadline.
is a deadline.
We did
If
put
we
a hard
ever get
cap on it.
1,000 likes on that post, even if you're 60, I'm shaving your fucking eyebrows.
Nope.
Fuck you with the Braxton Berrios comment. by
Is
the way.
there anything else
And
that,
they
that
threw
we
Dennis
could do to get
Gardeck
you to
in
shave the
there for you,
eyebrows?
too.
Did they?
Is there any
Yeah,
other
he-
bet
Oh,
we
he's
could do
fucking
to get you
off.
to shave the
They're
eyebrows?
both on there talking shit.
Yeah. They're getting shit talked right now. Bengals have ruled out wide receiver T. Higgins for Thursday night game against the Ravens due to a hamstring injury.
What did you guys say about the Bengals the other day? Is there any panic mode yet? They're in last in that division.
I hit panic. I think I hit panic mode.
They're in
I
last in
hit
that
panic
division.
mode. Yeah.
And they cannot
Yeah,
afford
but everybody
to
in
lose
that
games.
division is going to make the playoffs.
No, the
No,
Browns,
no,
the
no,
Browns
no,
are the
no,
ones
no.
that are on their way out. But if another team slides in the AFC,
Well, Houston. That's what I said.
Houston
right now.
win their
Houston.
division. And then if you're the
Correct.
Bengals, you have to hope that Jacksonville loses game. You have
Yeah.
to hope for a lot as a Bengals
Yes.
fan. You could not afford to choke that game.
1,000%.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Bears head coach Matt Eberflus said today that Justin Fields is progressing well, and he expects him to start against Detroit this Sunday.
I
So there's a
personally
new
would
captain
start
of the
Titty
Titanic.
Badgett.
You still want Titty Badgett?
Yeah, I think he's better.
Did you say there's a new captain on the Titanic?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one because Bears fans like to show up in droves, and I know some annoying ass Bears fans. There's one in particular, my brother, if you're watching this, he's not a Bears fan, but there's one that we always talk shit about all the time. There's one in particular that really annoys the shit out of me, and I know he's going to be there on Sunday, so shout out to you, Bears fans.
This is a big one, and I know Uncle Sam. Brian Dable came out today and announced the starting quarterback for Sunday's game against the Commanders, and it is none other than Uncle Sam's favorite, Danny DeVito.
Oh,
Danny
Jesus
DeVito will
Christ.
start again this week.
Titty DeVito.
That guy's the shittiest quarterback I've ever seen.
Now, if you were starting an organization, okay,
Yes.
and you had the choice between Danny DeVito or Bruce to be your starting quarterback, which one
I would
you
pick
take?
Bruce.
Did you see any of Danny DeVito?
No, I only read about it. I heard.
Oh
didn't
my
miss much.
God, dude. My man couldn't hit a fucking pass 5 yards in front of him, dude.
He was a system quarterback at Syracuse, and he actually won. There was one big game. They might have beat Clemson or pushed Clemson when he was at Syracuse, but other than that, he's just a guy that's off the street. He's a guy from New Jersey that they needed they needed
He
bodies.
needs to go back to New Jersey and sell fucking goddamn Salisbury steak because he's awful.
In some other news, the Patriots have not announced a starting quarterback for Sunday's game yet, but there's speculation right now that it will not be Mac Jones. It will actually be Bailey Zappi, and also Will Greer will jump him on the depth chart, leaving Mac Jones third on the depth
Did
chart.
anybody watch the game when he was sitting next to what's his name, the offensive coordinator, the one guy who used to coach attack?
Yeah,
Bill
Bill O'Brien.
O'Brien
and he
was
was screaming.
Bill
screaming.
O'Brien
Yeah.
was losing his fucking mind, looking at the pad, screaming at Mac Jones.
I think Bill O'Brien had him at Alabama too, or maybe he had him at the. You'll have to fact check
When he was
me on
offensive
that.
coordinator
Yeah,
there?
when he was doing some play calling at Alabama, I think Mac Jones was his quarterback. So I
No,
have to.
I don't think. I think
he
there
was.
before that. He was in Houston. when
That was
all
another
shit was going
situation.
on.
They kept him way too long in Houston.
Yeah.
That being said, I think there's just they should release him, and maybe one of these teams can take a crack at him. So he was Alabama
Mac Jones.
21-22. Yeah, maybe one of these teams can take a crack at him. I don't know who it would be, Cleveland or whatever.
Kansas City.
Kansas City. No, the Jets maybe.
Why? It's a backup. What's wrong with that?
The Jets maybe. He did have Bill O'Brien
Do
for
you think
a
Mac
little
Jones
bit.
is better than?
Zach Wilson?
Yeah. Are
You
they
know,
that's
basically the
tough.
same guy?
That's a good
That is
question.
so
That's a
tough.
good question. I think Mac Jones did a little bit more his rookie year than Zach Wilson ever did.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, I take a little bit of stock in what Mac Jones did in college. Not saying Zach Wilson wasn't a dominant offensive player in college, but Mac Jones played in and won some big games in college and threw to
Yeah.
some big-time receivers in college.
That's true.
So I take a little bit of
I
stock
would have to
in
say
that.
he's a little bit better than Zach Wilson.
I'd give Mac Jones the edge over Zach Wilson. I would like to see what Mac Jones could do in that offense as opposed to what Mac Jones has been doing in that putrid Patriots offense. I would like to see that. And take a crack, see if you can get the Patriots to release him if you're done with him.
Yeah. Also, biggest piece of news of the week, obviously the Bills have fired offensive coordinator Ken Dorsey and named Joe Brady as the interim replacement.
Excuse me here. I hate to interrupt us right now, but Jack is throwing some fucking massive shit over here.
Yeah, he says that Mac Jones' replacement should be Colin Kaepernick, and that he saw him at practice one time against the Lions, and he tore him.
The fuck is he talking about?
President Baker came in and said that the Patriots should sign Cam Newton again.
Fuck you, Jack.
Back to Joe Brady. He's a guy that I had a lot invested in because without Joe Brady, I don't know if you guys know this, without Joe Brady, there is no Joe Burrow. And Joe Brady was the passing game coordinator of that 2019 LSU team, which is my favorite college team ever that didn't play at Michigan. And he's the reason Joe Burrow won the Heisman. He's the reason he took a step. He immediately left, if I remember, to become Matt Rule's offensive coordinator. And it just didn't go well. He eventually got fired. So
Call the Matt Rule, and you could wind up in prison.
regardless, Joe Brady's a very capable coordinator, and I'd like to see what he does with Josh Allen. I'd like to see how that goes. I just think it's too little, too late going on there, and they just need a whole reset. And shout out to the Yak Boys. I think they called out that the two of you picked Denver, even though you got it right. The Yak Boys had something to say about that.
They were shocked.
Hey, look at
Mike and
I like
Nico.
those fucking guys, dude.
Yeah, they were shocked.
No,
you
they're
picked
great.
Denver.
Why?
They're great. In fairness, at the beginning of the year, I told them, I said, Miami is our pick to win that division. They go, yeah, we kind of see that Miami's more of a threat than the Jets. I think they were still high on the Bills. It's a whole other conversation. I don't want to derail us with Bills talk right now.
One more piece of news before we move on. The Lions have signed veteran pass rusher Bruce Irvin.
Oh, shit.
He's the oldest guy on the team by 5 years.
Fucking kidding me,
He's 36. The next closest guy is 31.
Whatever.
I think it's Taylor Decker, maybe.
Whatever.
Oh, also,
The sad attempt to fucking try to satisfy people.
Texas A&M reached out to Dan Campbell to offer him the possibility of coming to coach there and making him, quote unquote, one of the top 3 highest paid coaches in college football. And he said he was not interested in leaving the Lions. So
hold on. I want to talk about that for a second. They claim that he reached out. They reached out to his people and his people said no. Money still talks. That's his alma mater, in case you guys don't know. That's where he played. He's from Texas. He's from not far from there. My thing for Dan Campbell is I think he's just a professional coach, and I think he's a player's coach. And you can't really be a player's coach when you're molding young minds in college. But just because Texas A&M called and Dan Campbell said, I'm not interested right now, does not mean that that's not going to be the case 3 months from now, because Texas A&M threw absolute piss money to the second best coach at the time, maybe the third best.
they have to pay him the numbers. It was like they owe him $20 million this year, $20 million next year, and then $8 million till like 2029.
$70 million the next
And they're
3
still
years.
paying Kevin Sumlin on top of that too, who they gave a massive extension when Johnny Manziel was there. So they're still paying Kevin Sumlin. They're going to have to pay Jimbo Fisher a crazy buyout.
Yeah.
And then they have to factor in a head coach. I don't think that works. I don't think the we're going to throw money at this problem for head coach works in college football. It's blown up in almost every instance, unless
Michigan State.
Michigan State's a great example. Michigan State's a great example.
I still,
UCLA is
I
about
still
to fire
remember
Chip
when
Kelly.
Michigan State lost Nick Saban.
Yeah, well,
I remember that to
that's their
LSU.
thing. That's their thing. Is it's an ego thing for Michigan State now, where they're not going to pay coaches anymore, or they want to pay coaches going forward because they don't want what happened at Saban to happen to them. They just had a perfect situation with D'Antonio. He was a perfectly scorned guy. He was a great head coach, the best the program's ever seen. Didn't want to leave because he wanted to keep beating Michigan and keep competing in the Big Ten. Go out and if you're Michigan State, go out and find your D'Antonio, and it's the same if you're A&M. Go out and find the guy if you're A&M. You're getting Texas back in the SEC. Go out and find the guy that wants to beat Texas's ass, that wants to beat Oklahoma's ass, that thinks he could beat Alabama. It might not be the highest paid guy or the guy that went to school there. There's a guy that's going to have a fire lit under his ass that's going to make perfect sense for Texas A&M. I don't think it's Dan Campbell, but I don't think you've heard the last of this story, because if they keep striking out, they can come back with crazy money and try and offer Dan Campbell. I don't think Dan Campbell's going to leave because he likes what he's got going here. And if something ain't broke, don't break it. But keep an eye on that. Just because he said no doesn't mean it's over.
One more thing I found interesting here, and then I promise we will move on. So Bet Online currently has odds for the quarterbacks, or for the Browns to sign this man as quarterback for the year. There are some names on the list like Joe Flacco, Colin Kaepernick, Trevor Siemian, Nick Foles. Do you know who the current betting favorite is?
Is it Matt Ryan?
No, Matt Ryan is third. At plus 250, it's Tom Brady.
The who?
Tom Brady.
For who?
Cleveland Browns.
What the fuck
That's the
would Tom
leader?
Brady go play
That's the
for?
leader in
He
the
is
clubhouse?
that is the current leading in odds right now is Tom Brady at plus 250.
I don't see it.
Matt Ryan's plus 600 in third. Anyways,
I don't think they got a chance to get Ryan or him, to be honest with you.
They won games with P.J. Walker, and they obviously see something in Dorian Thompson-Robinson. So I think they're going to stick it out with those two guys. And if not, at a minimum, you've opened the window next year to where you could be maybe the second best team in the division, if not better. So rebuilding year for the
If you were a
Browns.
coach and you were at Cleveland, would you be worried about your fucking job?
No, I think they've outshined any expectations this year.
Yeah, I agree.
And their two best players are in. Two of their three best players are done for the year.
Yeah.
The only thing worse that could happen is if Myles Garrett breaks his cunt.
don't forget
He's
about
out for the
Your
year.
don't
$300
forget about
million
Amari Cooper.
your $300 million guaranteed quarterback has played a total of 12 games in fucking 2 years.
Tough shit.
That's crazy, dude.
Tough shit. Kevin Stefanski didn't make that deal.
No.
All right, so let's move on from the news. Next up, we have two options. One, we can either recap the Monday night game, or we could go backwards and talk about the Lions.
We've already talked Monday night, so let's finish the Monday night talk.
Okay. Monday Night Football, Denver Broncos headed up to Buffalo to play the Bills. Denver comes out on top in a game where they kicked the field goal at the end of regulation for the win, doinked it off the upright. There's a flag thrown because Buffalo had 12 men on the field. They got to do the kick again from 5 yards closer. Dong shot, game over. Denver wins 24-22. Buffalo now falls to 5-5. Denver at 4-5. Buffalo's still second in the AFC East, but my God, that was one of the most piss poor showings that I have seen out of a team that was supposed to be a division winner, was supposed to be a Super Bowl contender, was supposed to be all of these things. Josh Allen, 15 for 26, 177 yards, a touchdown, and 2 picks. He also had 13 yards and a touchdown run on the ground and a fumble. Russell Wilson, 24 for 29, 193 and 2 through the air, 9 for 30 on the ground. It was bad. Like, it was really bad. And like Zolo said, I thought this game was going to be a shootout. It really didn't end up being a shootout. James Cook had 109 yards on the ground. Javonte Williams had 80 of his own. It wasn't a shootout. It was just the Bills were bad. Like, offensively, it was awful. And I will say, you've got to kind of Denver should have. I thought Denver was going to end up running away with this game with the way that Josh Allen was playing.
They should.
I really did. And I thought they should have too. But I still stand by what I said Friday. I think Denver's still got a lot of work to do. But the Bills made this game so easy for Denver to win that it was just awful. And you know what? I honestly thought that Sean McDermott might have lost his job the next day. You can't fire the quarterback. But something is definitely broken in Buffalo right now. Very broken. And hopefully Joe Brady holds the answers. But I want to know what both of you guys think about this game.
Yeah, you.
Go ahead.
I don't have much to say that I haven't already said. All right, fine. First things first, I agree that the Bills choked it away, but still shout out to Denver. I think they're trending in the right direction. They're doing more with less. I think Russ has been outstanding the entire year. It just hasn't shown because everyone thinks he's a fucking idiot. He moves the ball very efficiently. They run the ball well. He's starting to find those receivers. Cortland Sutton's being the Cortland Sutton we always thought he was going to be. I don't think they take flyers on either of those guys this offseason now. I really don't, on Sutton or Judy. And Denver's trending in the right direction. And low-key, if you look, I really want to do playoff machine. If you look, if Denver does some winning, they're going to have a little bit of a crack at taking the bottom of the AFC. They're going to have a little bit of crack. I don't think it's going to happen. I still think it's too loaded. But they're one of the teams that needs to at least be in the conversation. But shout out to Denver. They didn't win the game. The Bills choked. Josh Allen choked. It's his second Monday night game. Do you have 3 picks again?
He had 2 picks and a fumble.
2 picks and a fumble. It's just a disaster. They have no clue what they're doing offensively. I'm buying into the whole Diggs thing too, by the way. All the Stephon Diggs stuff. Did you see that, Uncle Sam? Trayvon Diggs saying he ain't even been shit until 14 got there anyway, or until Big Bruv got there anyways. So I think Diggs is gone in the offseason. I don't know where he's going to go. But they just that franchise needs a bit of a reset. That's all. They need to get healthy on defense, and they need to figure out offensively what they want to be.
They need to get a different coach in there. They need somebody to coach up Josh Allen to teach him how to be a real quarterback in this league and not just running by the seat of his pants, because that shit ain't going to work. We've seen Cam Newton try it. He was successful for about 3 years, and then he was done. This is what's going to happen to Josh Allen if they don't get somebody in there to really teach him how to play quarterback.
So my only slight rebuttal to that is that the gunslinger that turns the ball over all the time can win a Super Bowl. We've seen it happen.
I agree.
Brett Favre, Stafford, both of the Mannings. There's blueprints for Josh Allen. Someone's just got to get him to clean it up, reel it in, and make better decisions. I just don't think it's going to happen this year, and I don't think it's going to happen in that division. That's my take.
I mean, they've got to figure out what's going on with Josh Allen, because you can't just, the guy just goes out there and whips the ball around so badly. His receiver, he's throwing the ball so hard, his receivers don't make the catch. Like those 2 drops to start off the game on the first drive, and it's the same thing every week. That first drive of the game, he goes out there and pisses it away because he's whipping the ball around so hard. The picks are a huge problem.
Come on, dude. That first pass he threw, dude.
Oh, the one that went through Gabe Davis'
Dude, it was
hands,
114 miles an
know.
hour. How's he supposed to catch it? The fuck,
Yeah,
dude?
they've got some issues that need to be addressed. And you know what?
That's him. That's on Josh Allen. You can't point the finger at nobody.
It doesn't get
But him.
It doesn't get any easier this week because they play the Jets.
And I will say this. You know what? Say what you want to say about Russell Wilson. He's still a pretty fucking accurate guy when he needs to be.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, he's
I
dead
agree.
accurate.
The 2 most
He puts the
accurate
ball
throws
there
of all
to-
time.
He puts the ball where these guys can catch it and make a play.
Yeah, or excuse me, not accurate. The 2 most improbable throws. The one was on Monday Night Football Monday to Cortland Sutton, and then he had a similar one a couple years ago on Monday Night Football to Tyler Lockett. Yeah. He's there. What were you going to say about Russ?
Let him cook, man.
I can't just forget about what I saw last year yet. Like
With Russell Wilson?
yes,
Well,
yes.
I think his body of work in the past and his body of work this year has been large enough for me to forget about last year. And honestly, the way the Jets offense has been, Nathaniel Hackett was the fucking problem.
Yeah,
That's my 2 cents.
yeah. When are we
He
gonna
might be
look
the
at
next
the big
coordinator to get
fucking
jumped.
giant rosy elephant in the room?
I'm with
I
you.
mean, it's obvious it's him. You know, maybe Aaron Rodgers has been bailing this guy out for fucking
This is
15 years in this league.
listen. Denver has a pretty like light schedule going forward.
Okay.
So I mean, they could enter this AFC wild card mess that's going on right now. But again, I still don't. They play Minnesota this week. Then they play Cleveland. Then they're at Houston. Then they're at the Chargers. Then they're at Detroit. All right. If we take this 6-game stretch they have coming up, and they go 4-2 in that stretch, then I'm going to start to.
What's their record at if they go 4-2 in that stretch?
If
How
they
many
go,
they won? Have
if they
won
go
3 or 4?
4-2 in that stretch, they're 8-7.
Yeah, the 8-7. Listen, there's a very good shot the way the AFC is shaken out and how top heavy it is. There's a very good shot that 9 wins gets you that. 9 wins got you in the NFC and the AFC last year.
And yeah, they have 2 divisional games. To end
Yeah,
up.
I
They
see
got to
that
do some
happening
winning
again this year.
But I say the same with the Chargers. That's why I think the Chargers are out of it, and really the Raiders. I just didn't realize that the AFC would shake out the way it has.
Yeah.
And that's why any team at the bottom right now is totally in it. Half the season's left.
Well, this is the thing. The AFC North is really what's throwing the wrench into everything, because the AFC North just keeps beating each other, and they're keeping everybody stuck in the middle of that pack. Nobody's been able to run away yet. So it'll be an interesting end. But yes, Denver.
Tiebreakers and some of these games are going to mean so much.
Oh,
to some of these teams, it's going to be unreal.
100%. All right. So we're going to talk about our Detroit Lions. Zolo has his 5 things. And obviously, my Lions discussion with Uncle Sam the other day kind of got off of the rails quickly because Uncle Sam is a hater. But
Yeah, I'm a hater.
I
'cause
was
I speak the
trying
truth.
to make a solid clip.
Hater because I speak the truth.
Because there was so much going on for so long.
well, it's because
Because you guys switched up like that.
Listen,
and then
anybody-
you tried to cut it down. You
This is
missed
the thing.
valuable things that were left in there.
this is the thing, okay? When you look at somebody and you evaluate their current mental state, and they trade Tua Tagovailoa straight up for Kyler Murray, everything that they say previously kind of goes out the fucking window. So I want to give it to Zolo, let him do his 5 things. What we're going to do here, all right, because we have trouble with this sometimes, we're going to let Zolo get through the entire thing and then come to us for comment.
Hold on. You guys can chime in after a thing. You can chime
That's what
in
I'm
after-
saying.
Yeah.
Give us the first thing, and then we'll rebuke, and then we can move on from there.
Done.
But can we let him get through his thing? What the fuck are you doing? Go ahead. Zolo's 5 things.
Hold on.
Oh, yeah. There's no S on the things.
There
You
was.
stupid fuck.
There was.
We got to make sure the when we do the news thing too, or the
Oh, I
recap, the riff has to run a little bit longer too. One of the riffs cuts off right in the middle,
That's the
a
one
struggle.
he had me trim up.
Yeah, I know. We'll fix it back.
Yeah, we'll work on it.
We'll
There
fix it
wasn't an
back.
apostrophe S on that?
5 things. Here we go.
Oh, yeah.
Thing number 1 on ZOLO'S 5 things, and Uncle Sam, you're going to hate this one. Thing number 1 is that the Lions' offense is perfect. It is perfect.
I agree.
When healthy, and this was the first instance of the offense being 100% healthy this year, when healthy, they are arguably the best offense in the league. Hence why they dropped 41. They were perfect. They could not have been stopped. The snap count between Gibbs, I think it was Gibbs 58%, Montgomery 32%. That's perfect. That's exactly or 42, excuse me. That's exactly what their snap counts should be. Gibbs getting a little more, almost 50-50. You have instances of them both being on the field. Amon-Ra, when he's healthy, is always going to have 100 yards, and he's always going to be over 6 catches. You work in Laporta, you work in the receivers in there to make big plays, and you give Goff a little bit of time to throw, boom. That will always be your yield. Uncle Sam, go ahead.
Are you awake? Well, I mean, what the
Well,
fuck?
they're
are we
going at
doing
him
here?
in the chat right now, so he's reading the chat.
Is he?
Listen, don't worry about the chat. He just asked you a question. Come
Thing
on.
number 2.
What are you asking me?
Oh,
You just didn't listen to the whole thing.
What about your schmeal on your offense?
Yeah,
That's
what do you-
right. No, you're right.
All right, thank you.
I never said you were wrong about that. I never said anybody was wrong about that. They're good. When they're on, they're on. Go ahead.
Thing number 2, the corners. This was the game I circled for the cornerbacks to be tested, and they failed. The corners failed the test. Cam Sutton needs a little bit of help out there. I think the Lions would do I love Jerry Jacobs, but I think the Lions would do very well to draft a top-tier shutdown corner. Looking back on it now, I'd really love a scenario where they ended up with Christian Gonzalez over Jack Campbell. I know Gonzalez went the pick before or the pick after, Jahmyr Gibbs, whatever. But they really needed a corner. And
Should've
Keenan
put
Allen
Devin Witherspoon.
Keenan Allen's probably top 3 in the league at the moment, the way he's playing. So it's not a fair sample size, especially considering how good Cam Sutton had been up to that point. But you were exposed by a really good receiver, and it wasn't just Cam Sutton. I thought Jacobs had a really rough day. He had a pass interference as well. And that's something to keep an eye on when you're playing teams that are loaded with receivers. If we're now talking about a class of teams where you have to play Philly, you have to play San Francisco, you got to play Dallas, they got to be careful against those teams because a guy like CeeDee Lamb, A.J. Brown, the recipe to beat the Eagles is literally you just shut down A.J. Brown. So if you can't contribute to that recipe, you're going to struggle. And I was very disappointed with the corners. Aaron Glenn was a defensive back coach. I'm looking for very good opportunities for him to correct that going forward. Go ahead. Do you have anything to say? You agree?
I don't think that the secondary did that bad of a job, considering that Justin Herbert had so much time to throw the football that I believe anybody could have gotten open within that time limit. I don't think the issue was the back end. I still think the issue to this day is the front end, and we've talked about that considerably. And until you fix that, it's going to continue to be the same thing.
That's a perfect segue to thing number 3. The pass rush is still a major problem. The sacks will continue to be an issue until there's someone opposite Aiden Hutchinson. He can only do so much. He's been incredible. He was, like you said, he was everywhere on Sunday. Could he close? No. It's very difficult to close if there's only a half a pocket that has to close. You just double team him and you're all set.
Right.
Which brings me
No,
a
I agree.
stat.
I agree.
This is a really alarming stat. So Hutchinson has 4.5 sacks. That's obviously off from the trajectory he was on earlier in the year. That's fine. I'm not worried about it because he's still a game wrecker in other ways. He's still very good in coverage. I know you're laughing right now, but I have a quote
No,
for you.
I was laughing about.
If only we had Kayvon Thibodeau.
Sorry.
So here's an alarming stat for you guys. All pass rushers, so not defensive tackles, all pass rushers not named Aiden Hutchinson have combined for 4.5 sacks this year. The Okwaras, Josh Paschal, James Houston, Charles Harris. I'm missing someone too. I thought I wrote it down somewhere. Oh, John Comiskey. It's another big one. Those guys have combined for 4.5 sacks.
That's terrible.
Someone needs to step up.
Fucking awful.
I don't know if it's entirely scheme at this point because the scheme was corrected after the Seattle game, and they've gotten pass rush help elsewhere. I think that the right side of the line, whoever is opposite Hutchinson, is just not doing a good enough job of closing. If they close, they don't even have to get sacks. If they close quick enough, it's going to unlock Hutchinson or McNeil to get sacks. That is a major issue. Do I think that's going to be the difference in them losing a playoff game? No, but I think that's the issue that might prevent them from going very far.
Correct.
Is to not get sacks.
And that's what I had said.
Now, it goes back to the whole trade deadline thing. They're doing something. They're doing it their way. They want to bring in one of their guys. They want to develop one of their people. I get it. They're a victim of their own success. They're a lot farther along in the rebuild than they thought they'd be, but it would have been nice to have someone opposite Hutchinson that could light up the rest of the defensive line.
How nice would it have been to have Chase Young on that opposite side to him?
It may not have even had to have been Chase Young.
I'm serious.
Danielle Hunter.
You name one person on the Lions that is better than Chase Young.
Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah, that's nor here nor there. Aiden Hutchinson had a good year last year when you had a guy playing opposite of him that could get pressure. Okay? That's why Aiden Hutchinson's numbers were very good last year.
I know you guys duked it out on Monday, but do you have anything to add so far?
Go ahead.
No, I'll wait till you're done.
Thing number 4.
Tell me I'm wrong on that.
My last 2 things are good. Thing number 4.
You don't think I'm right?
I think Aiden Hutchinson's a monster and is having a better year this year.
Yeah,
than he's
Aiden
had last
Hutchinson
year.
was good last year when the guy opposite of him was putting up numbers.
Who was opposite of him?
You know what?
Who was
no,
opposite
hold
of
on.
him?
Let me.
the
He's
same
on
guy.
IR.
Let me get
Same
involved
guys.
now because
He's on
this is
IR.
hilarious.
The other guy wasn't on IR. He didn't even play until Thanksgiving
Correct.
last year.
thing.
Last year.
You're the first-
And that's when the defense actually turned it up. That's when they went on their winning streak. No?
You're the
Am I
first.
wrong on
You're the
that or
first
no?
one to sit here and tell us.
I'm
that
asking the fucking question.
Yes, you're wrong. You're wrong.
I'm wrong.
because you're the first
So
one to
you're
sit
going
here.
to tell me that last year with the guy that's on IR right now, who had fucking 8 sacks in 9 games, did not contribute to their success last year.
How many times?
That's why they were there. They were at last.
How many times have you sat at this fucking desk and told us the numbers don't matter? I'm not a stats guy. The numbers don't matter.
Christ,
It's
dude.
about what I
Guess
see.
what?
And all
I
I've seen
just
out of
said
Aiden
it.
Hutchinson. No, but you're going to sit here and say he didn't have as good of a year as last year because the
No,
sack
it's nowhere
numbers
near
aren't
what
up.
he was last year.
But guess what? What I'm watching on the field, what I'm seeing
ahead.
on the field, is a guy who has literal Nick Bosa levels of effort on every single fucking play.
I never,
and we're not going to sit
I've
here and
never,
downgrade Nick
ever,
Bosa for having an off year on sacks,
have
right?
questioned his effort. Ever.
Okay, but guess
if
what?
I ever questioned his effort,
So is Nick Bosa ineffective this year then?
is he?
I'm asking you
Is
because
he?
you're the
His
one
numbers
who's saying,
ain't there.
Right, the numbers
Why
aren't
do you
there.
think they keep bringing guys
the numbers
in?
aren't there,
about
but they
Micah
have,
Parsons?
they have to continually.
That's exactly why they keep bringing in. That's why they brought Chase Young in there.
So
But they have to
you're half
continually
right.
respect him.
You're half right. I think you're
I'm
both
half right?
You're half right.
Okay.
I don't think James Houston is the difference because
I do.
'cause
I think James Houston was a difference to his success last year because they actually had to account for James Houston.
But Hutchinson was good in the 8 weeks before James
No,
Houston
he
last year.
wasn't.
He
Come
was
on.
very good. He had more
You're
sacks
forgetting
in the
shit
first
from
half of
last
the
year.
He had more
You're forgetting from last year.
he had more sacks in the first half of the year last year than he did in the back half.
Who did?
Aiden Hutchinson. He
In
had
the
more
first-
sacks
in the first half of the year?
than he did in the back half.
Yeah, but in the back half is when they started winning.
What
in the
James
first half,
Houston-
they fucking lost 6 games in a row.
What James Houston brings to the table is that on obvious passing downs, it's really nice to have that third down blitzing hybrid linebacker or whatever you want to call him. It's really nice. We'll call him the Sam. We'll call him the Sam. It's really nice to have that guy opposite Hutchinson. In the meantime, John Comiskey had a big year last year. Haven't seen anything from him this year. Charles Harris had a great year last year. Haven't seen anything from him this year.
Charles Harris didn't have a great year last year because he lost his job to a fucking guy in week 8.
Josh Pascal was a second-round pick. He's been injured this year, and he was injured last year. You're not getting value for a guy that drafts as well as Brad Holmes is
You can
drafted.
say Azarique, he was a second-round pick too.
Anzarike,
There you go.
That's another issue.
There you
right
go.
now.
You tell me any of the guys that are on this rotation are better than fucking Chase Young.
No, I don't think so.
Okay? And if you truly believe that you're the second best team in the NFC, why would you not bring that guy in?
I agree, but they weren't
And
going to
that's
pay
my
him.
point. That's
They
all
were not,
I'm trying to say.
They were not going to pay Chase Young. They were not going to spend
What
a
the
draft
fuck,
asset.
What are you going to pay him?
Because in their mind,
What are they paying him?
Chase Young's going to command a pretty hefty contract.
Oh, he's
sometime.
going to.
Yeah.
But they're not paying anything yet, are they?
I know, but that's not the point. They want
What
to
do you mean
extend.
that's not the point?
Why would you-
You've never heard me out in this conversation. I'm
Go ahead.
trying to explain it to you. They want to bring in their guys. They want to
Okay.
draft these guys because it extends your window if you don't have to bring in a free agent off the street and overpay for him. Now, they brought in a good free agent this year in C.J. Gardner-Johnson, but they, number one, didn't overpay for him. Number two, he doesn't fit into the plans going forward.
He hasn't even played, dude. Come
He
on.
hasn't even played. I'm
He's
saying,
something better
I'm
than
saying it's an example of them paying for a free agent.
Okay.
They're not going to do that. This organization isn't going to overpay for people because they believe that they have the staff that's going to develop and scheme their way into success. That's how James Houston was born. No one fucking
Okay.
knew who James Houston was.
Okay.
He was a 6th or 7th round pick, but they
So they had
utilized
some
him
injuries,
perfectly.
and Houston gets to play because Pascal was hurt. The rest of these guys.
Well, I think
were hurt.
Houston had he barely made the team. I don't know if you know that. He barely made the team
Yeah,
out of
he's
camp.
on
He had
the
an
fucking
injury.
practice squad.
He had an injury. Then they brought him up and they worked him in, and then it worked
Correct.
out.
Correct.
That's all it is.
Can I?
All I'm saying is this: if you got an opportunity to fucking bring a guy in to make your fucking team better, and obviously talent wise, Chase Young is better than anybody on
Can
this
we?
roster.
Why do
Not
we
Aiden
keep
Hutchinson.
doing that? Why
Not
do you
Aiden
keep
Hutchinson.
doing that?
Doing what?
Sitting here touting Chase Young like he's fucking
all I'm
JJ
saying
Watt.
is if you're serious about winning the fucking division, going into the playoffs, and actually really challenging for a fucking Super
I'm
Bowl,
with you. They
you
should've
need
traded.
to bring talent in.
They
I
should've
don't give a
traded for
fuck
someone.
if he doesn't fit your narrative or your fucking rah-rah
It's not
bullshit.
my narrative. I'm just explaining it to you, and I agree with you. They should have brought someone in. Sam in the chat, the comp pick. So the way the comp pick formula works, they weren't guaranteed to get a 3rd round comp pick. It would have been a 4th or a 5th or a 6th, pending what happened with Chase Young, number one.
No, it
Number
would have been a
two-
3rd.
No, you don't. You don't
wouldn't
get.
have.
You don't
Yes.
get a 3rd. No, you don't. You do not get a 3rd. There's a whole algorithm, and nobody knows the algorithm. So that's why in instances like this, if Chase Young was traded for a 3rd, and even if he was crazy producing, sometimes your comp pick wouldn't be a 4th or a 5th. And on top of that, they wouldn't get the comp pick until 2025. They wouldn't get it next year. So that's the whole reason with the comp pick thing. They weren't risking that. I agree with you. They should have got a guy
I think when
opposite
it
Aiden
comes to
Hutchinson.
acquiring talent, that if you're looking beyond, you got to get them fucking blinders off.
Listen,
You got to open it
I'm
up.
so sick of this. Chase Young has regressed every season since his rookie fucking year.
I still think he's
every
good.
single
Okay.
year.
I still think
is
Chase
he
Young is
still a
good.
good guy? Yes, but is he a guy that you're going to go out and trade a 3rd round pick for?
Yes.
and then
Yes.
for what?
Yes.
for what? To get
I'll
him for, to get
give
him
a
for
3rd round
9
pick for him.
for 9
I'll
games.
give a 3rd round
for
pick
9
for him.
games.
I'll
For
give
9
a 3rd round
games.
pick for
For 9 games.
That's your window to see if he fits what you're doing
Guess
or not.
what?
Can I
There's
speak?
What's wrong
nothing
with
he
that?
can do. There's nothing he can do that half the season is going to justify giving him $25 million
let me ask you a
next
question.
year.
Would you have given a 3rd round pick in to bring him in to let him play the last 9 games of this year? One if it all worked out, then what? Does he deserve the fucking money then?
No.
Can I take?
Why?
Can I take this?
Why?
for a
Why
second?
would you?
Because
why?
I would trust my GM to utilize that 3rd round pick to bring in some
Exactly.
guy next year that I don't have to
That's-
pay $25 million.
That's what
for.
they're thinking. And with Chase Young,
He's
as much as
regressed
I love him,
every
I love
single
Chase Young.
year.
I love watching him at Ohio State. I love what he's capable of. But that's what you're trading for. You're trading for what he's capable of. He's
No more
not. He was
Michigan
not a sure
products,
thing this year.
Please get Michigan product. Yeah.
Does that make sense? He wasn't.
dumb.
He wasn't a sure thing. You're trading for his upside. You're trading. Well, we think he's capable of this. Where the Lions are thinking, no. Here's what we're thinking, and I'm going to tell you right now. It's thing number 4. They're in autopilot going forward. They have the 7th easiest strength of schedule. Their only tough games are at New Orleans, at Minnesota, and at Dallas. Whereas all of the teams they're competing with, Philly, for example, they got a top 10 easy strength of schedule, but Philly has to go. They have to play the Chiefs, they have to play the Cowboys, they have to play the Niners, they have to play the Bills, and they have to play the Seahawks. So they're thinking, we're going to let everything around
Listen,
us crumble.
I'm going by what I've seen after this week. That's what I'm going.
They beat a playoff team on the road and scored 41
I know.
points.
He also gave up 38.
That's all correctable. They gave up 38 to one of the best and most high-powered offenses in the league. Top 10 quarterback, top 3 receiver,
gotta say,
top 2 running back.
If they didn't get a stop here and there,
Completely healthy
you lose
too, by
that
the
game.
way. Completely healthy. The
You didn't
Chargers
get a
were
stop
completely
here
healthy.
and there, you lose that game.
Mike Williams.
Listen to me.
I didn't count it.
Listen to me.
Johnson's a first round.
The last 3 first-round picks, 3rd-round picks for the Lions. Anybody care? Anybody care to give a guess? 2020 was Jonah Jackson and Julian Okwara.
Okay.
Last year was Aleem McNeil.
Okay.
21 was Aleem McNeil.
21 was Aleem McNeil. Last year was Kirby Joseph. Those are 3 starters.
All right.
Those are 3 starters.
Okay.
I don't think that taking a guy who has been in the league since 2020 and has been hurt for 2 years, 2 years of his 3 in the league.
He was hurt when he came into the league.
Guess what? He played 15 games his rookie year.
Okay.
Okay?
Explain
Played
to me
15 games.
JMO. Same shit.
Same shit.
Same
J-Mo,
scenario.
right now, J-Mo's a
Same-
whiff.
same
right now,
scenario.
J-Mo's a whiff. But if you were the Lions, would you trade for J-Mo right now?
I don't know. Would
If you were the Lions and J-Mo was elsewhere, would you trade for him?
Would you?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
So that's that. You just made my point for me.
Did you?
Look, you also made a point for me. James Houston's coming back. He'll be back in December. The Lions are playing so well, and their schedule is holding up, and they're beating the teams they're supposed to beat, that they're going to let everything else crumble around them, get their guys back, Pascal and Houston, and then see what they're capable of from there. I think they really believe that if Houston's on the field on those blitzing drives or on those blitzing downs, that good things are going to come. I genuinely believe that. I think that's what they're thinking. Does that mean you are wrong? No. No, it would have been nice to bring in a step up over Bruce Irvin or the Okwaras or Pascal or Charles Harris. It would have been nice to have someone opposite them. Did it need to be a big home run? No, but it would have been nice to have someone on the opposite of Hutchinson because it would show right now. But if they're still winning games, if you're the Lions,
I'm glad they won.
It's hard to justify.
I'm happy
it.
they won. I'm not a bandwagoner. I'm actually happy that they won.
Well, they're 2-1 since they're. I'm sorry, they're 2-0 technically since the trade deadline.
Why'd you take Chargers to win?
Because I thought the Chargers, with the way they looked the week prior, would kind of do the same thing they did.
Against the
And they put 38 up, so I was kind of right in a sense, except the defense didn't step up. That's all.
Thing number 5.
And their coach is horrible.
Thing number 5, I want to hear what you have to say about Uncle Sam. Thing number 5 is that I think the Lions can beat most teams in this league, and they can beat them in any way you want them to beat them.
Okay.
And that's what this was this weekend. You want to go into a shootout? Go ahead. We're ready. We're healthy. We're guns a-blazing. You want to go to a defensive battle? Watch us. We'll run the ball down your throats and kill the clock. And the second field goal, they have a kicker that can actually hit things within 40 yards at the moment. So if you want to, well, you don't agree?
What? Yeah, I know. I do agree with that. Anything past 40, you can forget about it.
Yeah, I think after 45, he's a little
After
bit tough.
40.
But he's hit clutch kicks. He hit clutch kicks for Jackson.
I don't agree that they can play the pound and ground game against other people.
I know you hate hearing it.
Offensively, yes. Defensively, absolutely not.
I know you literally hate hearing it, but they have the number 1 pass protecting offense, and they have the number 1 run protecting offense.
From what I see, that's not the best offensive line in football.
They ran
They're
12
not.
times.
I think the Eagles had the best
They
offensive
ran
line in
12
football.
times to the right side of Penei Sewell. So on the outside of the right tackle, they ran 12 times. Do you know what they averaged? They averaged 11 yards per carry when they ran to the right side of Penei Sewell. They have 2 monster running backs. Jahmyr Gibbs hasn't even scratched the surface yet, and he looks the part. He looks better than Bijan Robinson and looks way better than pick 12 at the moment. Jahmyr Gibbs hasn't even scratched the surface yet. Oh, and for fun, they got your boy David Montgomery back, and guess what happened?
I don't know.
He blew the fuck up as well.
I don't know anything about David Montgomery.
So, what's Uncle Sam's one thing? I was promised there would be Uncle Sam's one thing on the line.
This is Uncle Sam's one thing
There
right
it
here.
is. Can we zoom in on that, Bruce?
That's it right there. That's
There
my
it
number
is.
one thing.
One thing. One finger to
Listen,
go
I'm
along with
going
it.
to say this, and I'm not saying it to be fucking negative toward the Detroit Lions. If they don't do something with their defense, they're not going to go far in this run.
I'm not worried about it.
Period.
I can't take.
I'm not worrying about anything. I'm telling you facts.
This,
But who's
this,
if they
beating
don't
them?
do
this
something,
defense held Patrick Mahomes to 20 points. This is
they
the Chargers.
don't-
This is
they
the
were
healthiest
first game of the year.
This is the healthiest the Chargers
they
have
didn't
been
have
all
anybody
year.
in that game.
I don't. It's Travis Kelce who hasn't even been a factor
He
as it
doesn't
is
care.
this year.
He doesn't care.
It doesn't matter.
Only with Taylor
The
is there.
Chargers' offense is a top 3 offense, and you won in L.A. And they scored 38 points, but you held Mike Williams and Justin Herbert.
Mike Williams is on IR.
Or Keenan Allen. Justin Herbert,
Austin
Eckler, you held them to 38 points on the road, and you won in a shootout. You beat them at their own game. You got the ball on 4th down and went for it. You had an offense that on 4th down that could put the game away, and they did. They got the 1st down, and they were able to run the clock out and make the kick.
He doesn't
You
care.
had the team that's capable of doing that. There's
that's
not
right.
many offenses that are going to outshoot the Lions. It's
None.
just not going to happen.
I'm not even talking about being in shootout.
So then it doesn't matter.
It's-
That's what I've been trying to tell you.
Jesus Christ.
They'll win a defensive
Listen,
battle because they can run the ball.
I'm going to tell you right now, their defense, okay, it's average at best.
Same thing over and over again.
They're average at best.
I'll give that to
They're
you.
average at best.
I'll give that to you.
When it comes down to it, when you start to have to play these good teams,
Who? Hold
in
on.
playoff
Hold on.
time,
No. Who?
You're gonna fucking
Who?
lose.
Who?
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 Seattle.
They're not going to lose
They
again
already
to
can't
Seattle.
beat. They already can't
will
beat them.
not
I
lose
They
don't
lost
again to
to them
beat
2
Seattle.
years straight.
I don't
I
think
want to
they're beat-
fucking hear it.
Seattle's
They've
not
lost 2
beating the
years
Lions
straight.
again.
They
to them.
will not lose
They've been
to Seattle
outcoached
again.
and lost to them twice.
Fine. Next.
Outside of Philadelphia,
Outside
Okay,
of Philadelphia,
49ers, Dallas.
I think they could beat the 49ers, and I know they'd beat Dallas.
Okay.
100%.
We're all going to see that
I'm
real
shocked
quick.
you're doing that with. I'm shocked you're actually picking Dallas. I didn't think
I'm
you'd actually go
shocked.
there.
There you go.
Because guess what? If there's one thing that I know about that Dallas team, they don't match up well in the Lions. Because they only have one guy that you need to actually fucking cover. And 2, Aiden Hutchinson will force Dak Prescott into throwing interceptions.
Yeah.
And you know that.
Can I tell you what'll happen against Dallas?
Go ahead.
The difference between any quarterback that you think has run all over the Lions and Dak Prescott is Dak Prescott when he's forced to throw. And these are your words. When Dak Prescott is forced to throw,
makes mistakes.
he's fucked. He's
Exactly.
fucked. And he's going to be
Exactly.
forcing the ball
But Dak
all
Prescott
over
can
on the
run
defense.
around too. That
no.
will give the Lions issues. You'll see this week. You'll see this week what happens when a guy can run around against that defense. Watch.
Oh, we're gonna go there with Justin Fields. Come on, dude. Like this is the thing. It just what you're saying doesn't make sense.
Maybe it doesn't make sense to you. It makes sense to people that actually watch football.
I watch every single game. And what I see in every single game is you could go through a list of 31 other teams in the NFL right now, and I would take the Lions in 30 of those games.
Defensively, I'm with you. It's an average defense, but statistically, it's not. It's better than average.
But they're average at best.
And it's getting. I'm with you.
average at best, and they're
Personnel
getting-
from a
they're getting
personnel
worse.
from a personnel perspective, they're not getting worse. Hold on.
They're not getting better.
They're not getting worse. You can't.
Not
You
getting
can't.
better.
You can't take the Chargers game.
I'm sorry,
Literally
dude,
one of the best offenses
listen,
in football. and say they're getting worse.
I have that fucking Ravens game in my head, and that shit's gonna peek its ugly face at some time here, and it's
Well,
coming.
every
real
time you think about the Eagles, then you should have the Jets game in your
Yeah,
head.
exactly.
Doesn't matter, man.
Exactly.
Eagles
It does
are also
matter.
fucking
And it's
8-1.
It's the same.
The
it's-
Lions are
it's the same with
7-2.
anything.
Like, come
Eagles
on.
already beat Dallas.
But come on.
What?
They're 7-2.
Okay.
They're 7-2.
I didn't say anything about the fucking record, dude. I'm talking
You just
about
said
their
they're
defense.
8-1. You just said they're
Talking
8-1.
about their fucking defense, dude.
Yes.
I do think their
Their
And
defense.
defense
Zach
isn't as good as
Wilson.
Philly.
Hold on. Zach Wilson beat Philadelphia.
Yep.
Zach Wilson. Not Lamar Jackson. Zach Wilson.
Yeah. He played a fucking great game in that game.
Oh,
too.
God.
Anyways, that was 5 things. I have some rebuttals to some things that you guys said. Number one, the Bruce got fucking ass pounded for bringing up the refs thing. We're not allowed to blame the refs anymore because this team supersedes that. This team supersedes all the bullshit.
You have to play past the refs.
Because they're good enough, they're going to beat the refs. There's 2 things I want to highlight though. That first drive of the game, that was not a J-Mo lost a touchdown because Taylor Decker got called for a chop block that was not a chop block.
That was bullshit.
That was
Called
bullshit.
something else, right?
And J-Mo really got robbed out of that, number one. Number 2, that crazy drive where they had the goal line stand. The pass interferences were ticky-tacky on Cortland Sutton. They were bullshit, but I want those called if I'm on the other if that was my team and the guy and the DB gets his hand around a guy to
first
slow him down.
one,
I want that called.
Whatever. But the
I
one
want that
in
called.
the end zone,
The play that was really bullshit on that drive, and you're going to agree with me on this, was the Julian Aquara roughing the passer. And that kept the drive alive. It was an incompletion on 3rd and 15. It had nothing to do with the play. He took off well before, but because he came in high, they called it roughing the passer. And that completely extended the drive, and that was fucking bullshit.
He barely touched his helmet.
He barely
dude.
touched
It
him.
was stupid.
The pass interferences I could live with.
Don't get the roughing the passer calls, and I will say this about the NFL: they've been awful all the way down the line.
Yeah,
just about every game I've seen.
It's the most fucked up, unknown. Nobody knows what's right
It's
and
just
wrong rule there is
inconsistent.
right now. It's
It's just
completely
inconsistent.
inconsistent. Correct.
That's a problem.
But the
That'll always
bad
be a
thing about
problem
the
without
roughing
full-time
the
refs.
passers, it's costing teams games, and that's bullshit.
Yeah.
That's why the refs need to stay the fuck out of it, because it's beyond any comprehension of the rule. You can't touch them from the knees down. You can't touch them from the shoulders up. You can't touch them from the fucking dick to the balls. I don't understand it.
No
I don't
dick
get
and
it.
balls.
Where are you allowed to hit
No
them
dick and balls.
without? And you can't put all your weight on them. You can't put all your weight into them. It's fucking bullshit.
So I'm with you. I'm with you. And I was actually impressed that the double goal line stand was incredible. And that's a test to the Lions defense. I know you disagree with it, but you have to pass to
I
beat
mean,
them.
I disagree with it, man.
You
why,
have
why are you telling me I disagree with it?
You liked it?
What, their little goal line stand?
Yeah, I mean, it was a double
I liked
goal
it.
line
I liked it
stand.
better if they had come out without scoring touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean, it's
I mean, the end
tough.
result was the end result.
They got to
bud.
run 5 plays or 6 plays from within the 2-yard line. Eventually, you're going to give up the touchdown.
Yeah,
And they ran
you
it with
can't keep
Eckler.
that up.
They ran it with Eckler, and that defense stood on its head every time. And it was led by McNeil and Hutchinson, and I was floored with that. So that's a message to the rest of the league. You want to run on us, go ahead. We welcome it. You want to beat us, it's going to have to be through the air. And I also agree with you that they currently don't have all the resources to stop some teams perfectly in the air. But you know what? What team does? What team is perfect defensively?
I want to see a fuck you pass rush here. That's what I want to see.
I
And
don't think
haven't
you're getting
seen
it
one.
this year.
It's
The
not
pass
gonna
rush
happen
in
this-
I don't think you're getting
1981
it this year.
was better than the pass rush now.
You're not getting it this year, but I think that is coming. I think you will see that eventually. I think that you had holes going into this offseason, and a lot of them got filled. Well, guess what? There's even less holes going into the next offseason. And if we're talking that this team is just a pass rusher, an interior lineman, and then a
They've had
cornerback
more
away,
opportunities to pick up fuck you guys, and they chose to pass on it. So I'm not going to make excuses for them.
something you said is that they just didn't play defense at all. In the second half, they didn't, but going in the middle of the second quarter, they were up 17-3.
Right.
The floodgates didn't open until the end of the first half, and then it just kind of rolled from there. But luckily, their offense was like,
What
all
I
right,
said
whatever.
when you were not here was that game should never have been as close as it was.
It wasn't.
It should never have been.
It wasn't, and that's something you said is that the game was closer than it should have been, which is fine. It really wasn't close if you look at it. They led wire to wire. They scored whenever they needed to score. They didn't get stops in the second half, but when your offense is as good as their offense, you don't need to, and that's what they're trying to prove right now.
I don't like getting into track meets with teams. I don't like that.
This team will win track meets. This team will win the track meets.
You got a team down. You got to put your foot on their neck, like the Ravens were doing for the past couple of weeks, and step on that and twist it. Because if you don't, that shit comes back to bite you in the ass. That's exactly what happened to the Ravens this week. They had a team down.
Shout out to Carl G.
What's that?
Shout out to Carl G. We still haven't heard
They
from
had
him
a
since
team
Sunday.
down. They had their fucking foot on them and couldn't complete it. And look what happened. They wound up losing in the end.
But that's not because it was a track meet. That's because they couldn't get the stop that their defense is used to getting stops on.
Correct.
I think if it's like a full-blown track meet, the Lions' offense is going to be
That
one of
they
the
had no
hardest.
answer for Myles Garrett.
The only teams that are going to beat the Lions' offense are the ones defensively that have the corners that can cover all of their pieces at one time. Because you will not pass rush on the Lions. You won't. Statistically, it's proven. It's going to be very difficult. So if you want to beat them with your pass rushers, like the 49ers like to do, good luck. You need to have a bomb-ass secondary if you want to compete with the Lions. I think of a team like Seattle. Seattle can make some stops here and there. I think a healthy Philly secondary can get it done. I don't think the Niners secondary can do it. I think if the Cowboys had Trayvon Diggs, I think they'd have a shot at
The
it.
Niners don't rely on their secondary. They rely on the front.
Yeah.
The different animal.
If you're going to rely on your front against the Lions' offensive line,
front
you're
can't
going
get
to
home,
lose.
then they lose.
You're going to lose.
That's what happened to them against Philly. Their front couldn't get home, and they lost.
So you brought up a good point. I think it's realistically with the strength of schedule going forward, I really think it's time that we have to start talking about the Lions as the 1 or the 2 seed in the NFC.
100%.
I think it's inevitable at this point. I don't see them like this is a game that they played this weekend. That's a game that they typically go and
Where do
lose.
you got them ranked right now?
In the NFC,
Yep.
I still think Philly is better than them.
Okay.
That's just a personal opinion. That doesn't mean I don't think they could beat Philly, but I do think
No, I
Philly's
agree.
better than them.
With what you've seen so far, what's your top 4 teams in the
in the NFL.
In the NFC.
In the NFC, I
Top
would
4
go.
teams in the NFC.
I would go Eagles. The Lions are not far behind them. 3 is tough. I'm going to have to go with San Francisco for now. I actually liked what they did this weekend against a good team.
Yeah.
4 maybe Dallas for me right now. I would go Dallas over Seattle. I think
Okay.
Dallas is coming on at the right time. I know they're not doing it against great teams. I would love to see what Dallas does against Philly in round 2. I think that's going to be a fun one. Dallas has some pretty tough games, but I would go with Dallas number 4. Or excuse me, number 4.
Okay.
Number 5, I think Seattle, but they're so inconsistent. They barely beat bad teams. I think they're getting worse. I think that they're similar to the Saints in the form of they don't have an identity offensively at the moment. So I don't know if I trust Seattle, but they have all the makings of a team that can make a run. I'm curious. Seattle and San Francisco, I think, play on Thanksgiving. That's the night game on Thanksgiving. So we'll learn a lot about both of those teams that day.
If you look at the rankings there too, Minnesota's in there, believe it or not. Minnesota's in that top 8.
I love what they've done. Credit to them. Credit to Josh Dobbs. I just don't think it's going to last. I really don't think it's going to last. I want to see more from them. I'll know how good Minnesota is when they play the Lions. That's over a month from now.
Right.
Because credit to them, they're a game behind, but they really can't afford to lose games.
Right.
Whereas the Lions have a window to work with because the Lions get to play the Vikings twice. The Lions still hold all of their cards in the division. They've only played one divisional game.
They steered their own direction here.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I think the Lions maybe will lose one more game. Again, Philly has the Chiefs, the Cowboys, the Niners, the Bills, and the Seahawks. The way they've played, I find it very difficult to believe that they're going to do better than 4-1. I think 3-2. And if they have 2 losses and the Lions win out or the Lions only have 1 loss, they're neck and neck right there. And I think the Lions hold the tiebreaker over the Eagles.
The Lions are going to lose at least 1 to 2 more games, I believe.
I think 1 max. The way this team is set up, 1 max.
2.
At Dallas is the one that stands out to me still. At Dallas. And it's because of what's on the line.
Too.
Denver's looking more and more tough.
Denver's looking better.
But
and better
the counter to that is at New Orleans was looking very tough to me, and that's not looking tough anymore.
Well, if Derek Carr is out for a substantial
I don't give a
time,
fuck who it is. I don't give a fuck if it's Derek Carr or if it's Jameis.
Slinging Jameis Winston, you never know.
Listen, the 5 best teams in the NFC are in this order: Philadelphia, Detroit, San Francisco, and Dallas. Now, it's hard to argue it right now. Okay? It's hard to argue.
5, Seattle.
Yeah.
Yeah, because New Orleans is a dud, and I think Minnesota's a dud,
without a quarterback, they're not going to go for
And honestly, if I had to give an honorable mention right now, I think it's Washington.
That's fair. They're not out of it.
They're not out of it. Neither is Tampa.
And then if you want to do this for the AFC, just real quick, right now it's Kansas City, Baltimore, Miami, Houston, and God, I don't know.
You see that?
Yeah, I mean, there's your Jacksonville.
That's
Jacksonville
is fucking everything
Yeah,
over.
I know.
Because believe it or not, the Pittsburgh Steelers, who lead, basically the only reason why they don't lead the division is because that Baltimore's played 1 extra game. But they're 2-0 in conference.
What's nice about that division is it's all going to shake out on the field.
Yeah.
You got 4 cold weather built outdoor teams with nasty fucking defenses. Yep. And it's going to shake out right in front of you in the last
I
few
think
months.
Houston is a big threat to everybody up there.
I really want to do. We're not going to be able to do it.
We'll do it. Yeah, we'll do it Friday.
I want to run through. If we get through the picks really quick on Friday, and what we'll do is we'll incorporate the next week's picks into the playoff machine. I want to go through the playoff machine with you guys. We'll go 2-1 majority rules on the games. We'll each pick the game real quick, top of our heads, just so we could see how this shakes out. Because there's some really interesting scenarios in the AFC with the Chargers, with the Raiders, with whoever comes out in the North.
Some of these tiebreakers that are going to be thrown out there are really going to fuck some teams up.
On here.
Yeah, that's what we want to do. We want to stream the playoff machine as we do it. We'll pick all the games. We'll pick them on the playoff machine, and then we'll go through at the end of the show and pick through the playoff machine.
We need to preview a big Thursday night game, a very important Thursday night game that falls right into everything that we've been talking about here. The Cincinnati Bengals are heading to Baltimore for a
Divisional game.
against the Ravens. Baltimore's currently a 3.5-point favorite. The over-under in this game is 46. You want to talk about playoff implications? I mean, none bigger than this. Cincinnati loses this game, they fall to 5-5, and that
500 is not a bad thing.
it's not a bad thing. But right now,
last in their division
with the way it's shaping up right now,
at 500.
At 500, they're in the last place in
Yeah.
There's no margin for error, and they have bad injuries.
well, and here's the problem: if they lose this game, then Baltimore's 8-3, and now you're 3 games behind Baltimore for the division.
And
So
that's
your
just for
hope
the
is a
division.
wild
No,
card
they're
spot.
still up
That's
for a
just the
wild
division
card
lead. That's
spot.
not even Pittsburgh or Cleveland.
Correct.
You know, you have to hope Cleveland's demise is imminent, which isn't guaranteed at the moment because they've won with PJ Walker.
You have to hope the farce that has been Pittsburgh,
and it's
falls
not, and
apart.
they keep winning games.
and they keep winning. You have to hope Houston stumbles somewhere. Like,
Where C.J. Stroud just getting stronger and stronger.
yes,
then
he
you
is.
have to hope the West, and then the East as well. I only think it's going to be the Dolphins in the East.
I agree.
I think Buffalo's going to shit, and I think the Jets aren't shit. But you still have to hope for that to happen.
Correct.
You have to hope for a lot of scenarios right now if you're the Bengals.
Injuries in this game. Obviously, as we said, T. Higgins is out, and Sam Hubbard is also out for the Bengals as well. As far as the Ravens go,
Trey Hendrickson's very questionable. They don't have him putting up any points this week, so I would say he's probably going to be out also.
let me see if I can see anything there real quick. Yeah, he fully practiced today.
Oh, he did?
Fully
Oh,
practiced today.
Forgot what I just said.
I was wondering because he was off the report. Marlon Humphrey's doubtful for this game for them, as is Devin Duvernay. Outside of that, there's not really any big ones. So, like I said, Baltimore, a 3.5-point favorite. Over-under is 46. Uncle Sam, what are you thinking here?
I'm going to take the Cincinnati Bengals in this game, and I'm going to take the over. Joe Burrow.
Is there a reason why?
Joe Burrow.
At Baltimore,
I know that.
divisional game.
Joe Burrow.
Can you elaborate? No T. Higgins.
Trenton Irwin.
Oh, geez.
Anytime touchdown, baby.
We're going to go 2 weeks in a row on the Irwin train.
You
Shout out
think
to
I'm
Angie.
fucking wrong? Watch.
Listen to me. If Trenton Irwin gets a touchdown reception this week, then I guess you're not as bad as I thought you were. Zolo, what do you
The
think?
all-timers is not as bad as you thought it was.
it hasn't gone full on yet.
The Ravens have been incredible this year after losses. They're one of the biggest cerebral teams and message teams, and they're good at that. And I think they're going to send a message to the rest of the division, including the Bengals, that this is our division. I think they're going to look good both offensively and defensively. And I like the over. I think the Ravens can do a good chunk of the over on their own. And I don't know if Burrow's it's gonna be tougher for him to move the ball than it was at the beginning of the year against this Ravens defense. So I like the Ravens and I like the over. Shout out to Carl G.
Bruce?
Ravens. What was the under over?
46.
Yeah, I'll take the over.
Well, it looks like we're going to even split again because for some odd reason, even though I am this close to just writing this Bengals season off, I'm going to honestly, in a way, agree with Uncle Sam, and I'm just going to Joe Burrow. They can't be this bad. And I did the same shit last year, and they turned it around in October, though. We're in November now, but they turned it around. Cincinnati shouldn't have lost last week. It was just they've got to bounce back eventually.
Same
Baltimore, I didn't think Baltimore would lose 2 in a row probably at any point this year. But if, again, divisional game, Cincinnati's got to come back. Joe Burrow needs to have one of those games where he wills this team to a victory. I don't know if they're going to be able to do it without T. Higgins, because that is a huge part of this offense.
Cincinnati
especially
needs
year.
this game more than Baltimore. does.
Cincinnati
Baltimore
really
really knows
needs
they're in
this
control.
fucking
I agree with you, but I don't think they're going to get it. But I'm with you. The Bengals for sure need this game more.
If this game goes in Baltimore's favor, I am there. I'm ready to write off the Bengals. They're not as good as I thought they were going to be, and this is Baltimore's division to lose at that point. But for now, I'm going to take Cincinnati to cover and win this game, and I'm going to take the over in this one.
The Ravens are going to win 30-20. That's my prediction.
30-20. That's an over. Yeah, we're hitting the over and taking the Ravens. All right. It's 6:00. Should we save Michigan for our Friday opener?
Yeah.
No, let's do it right now.
No, I think we should because
Why?
Can we be quick? Can we be
Yeah,
quick?
let's be
I
quick,
think
Adam. Go ahead.
you've been on the same page as me the entire time
ahead.
about this.
who?
He has.
Yeah, I think we're all on the
I think
same
we're all on the
page.
same page.
Yeah.
Did you guys talk about it at
You
all?
want to know what
No.
I think? It's absolutely fucking ridiculous that this guy got suspended. And that's all I'm going to say. It's ridiculous.
So you know who had a great quote?
Suspend this man with an investigation still going on. It's just utter dumb fucking shit. If I was him, I would sue the Big Ten, sue the shit out of them. Basically. Are they guilty for their little infraction? Yes. You want to fucking slap him on the fucking wrist? Slap him on the wrist. I don't have a fucking problem with that. But to suspend him now is fucking stupid. Absolutely fucking unwarranted and fucking stupid.
So you know, had a really good quote about it.
And the only thing I am more disgusted by that is to watch a grown man coach cry about
No, that
whatever
was
they
incredible.
won. Give me a fucking break.
That was
You're
absolutely
an idiot.
incredible the way the
You're
day
a
shook
fucking
out.
idiot.
So you know what a really good quote was John Harbaugh, which is one of the reasons I think the Ravens are winning tomorrow too. Is because Michigan's there this weekend. Michigan's at Maryland this weekend, and John someone asked him, "Are you going to go to the game?" If he's like, "Pending what happens Thursday." But John Harbaugh said, "Listen, Jim's had his head up throughout the whole thing. He's handled it really well. He's done and said all of the right things." His daughter Grace had a really good quote about him on Instagram the other day. A really good message about Jim, and people for years, because he's just always rocking the boat. The NCAA doesn't like Jim Harbaugh because he wants the student athletes to get a cut of the TV revenue. And of course they're not going to like that. So the people over the years
All about money.
the people have given Jim Harbaugh a fair shake because they like to dehumanize him in the way he's, football, this and that. But he's a family man. He loves his players. He dies for his players. He loves his coaches. He loves his program. And he loves football. And the fact that anyone thinks that he's some, I don't even know what to call it, some cheater and some football savage that compromised the game to get a leg up on his opponents, I ask you to look no further than the Baltimore Ravens, who have the #1 defense in professional football, whose coordinator is Mike McDonald from Michigan 2 years ago. And I ask you to look at Aiden Hutchinson. And I ask you to look at what Michigan's done over the last 3 games to their opponents while they weren't stealing signs, including to Penn State. And the body of work is there to say that this is over the top at this point and it's just a witch hunt. I do think they're going to come out in court just fine. Another bullshit item during this was the circumstances in which they suspended him. They had all day to do it. They specifically waited until a bank holiday where they couldn't get a judge. They suspended the guy while he was on the plane. And then the third caveat is he didn't hear about the suspension from the league. The league leaked it to Pete Thamel from ESPN, who's been reporting on it all along, which I think is just classless, and it's a lack of courage on the league's front. I'm not as drastic as a lot of Michigan fans who are like, oh, you need to leave the conference. Yeah, the conference does need Michigan. You don't need to leave the conference. You don't need to do that. You send a message by winning everything else the rest of the year. And then if he wins his appeal, Tony Petitti's got to present the Big Ten championship trophy to him later on in the year. And then has to watch him generate revenue as they go on into the playoff. So it's already a bad embarrassment. The Big Ten looks bad. The commissioner's in way over his head. It's really dumb all the way around. It's unprecedented. It's why I think that they're going to win in court, and I'm not worried. And I'm really not worried about the football team, too, because it just lit a crazy fucking fire under their ass. So I'm excited to see what they do going forward. I would find it really difficult to believe that Jim Harbaugh will not be on the sidelines in 2 weeks against Ohio State. I'll find it difficult to believe that he's not going to be on the sidelines this Saturday against
For
Maryland.
the rest of the year. They already said it.
They're
having
appealing. It's going to court on Friday.
They have a
So he's
hearing
got
on
an
Friday.
appeal. He's trying to appeal it.
Yeah, on
Yeah.
Friday it'll be
And if they
decided
say, you know
if it
what,
goes up.
we're upholding it.
It's appealed in Washtenaw County
What
Court,
it is,
though.
who cares?
I think he
Cares.
coaches,
It doesn't matter. You don't need to be there anyway. They'll fucking win anyway, dude.
Yeah, I think he'll
They
be
clearly have the best team in the Big Ten. Clearly.
100%.
They're better than Ohio State.
I agree
They're
with
better
that.
than every other team in the Big Ten.
I think that he will be coaching this weekend and against Ohio State. I think the whole thing is blown completely out of proportion. I think that the Big Ten higher-ups are a bunch of scumbags for the way that they pulled it off. And I'm not the biggest Michigan guy. I'm not the biggest Harbaugh guy. I'm pretty neutral. But at the end of the day, This is just bullshit. And it's gone too far. It's gone too long. And I think it gets reversed on Friday. He coaches the rest of the year. And then when the NCAA finishes their investigation, this whole thing goes away pretty quickly.
God bless.
Godspeed.
Well,
Anything to add?
we'll see what happens. I think it's stupid that he was suspended. Were they cheating? Yes. Were other teams in the conference cheating? Absolutely. So guess what? It's nor here nor there. I don't care about the sign stealing thing. I think it's dumb, personally. Go to the fucking headsets and do away with all this bullshit. It's stupid that you're interrupting a team's run at a fucking championship because of a few other coaches in the fucking league got a case of the ass because they're not winning as many games.
That
Give
ass
me a
is
fucking
going
break
around
already.
this fall. The ass is going around too. It's running rabid.
What's that?
Rabid ass.
Rabid ass.
Rabid ass.
Oh, it's just bullshit. It's stupid, dude. If you're jealous of the guy, listen, the guy's a fucking weirdo. There's nothing to be jealous of. He's weird. I wouldn't want to be him. I don't know what the fuck you people are doing. Stop. It's just fucking stupid. The whole thing is stupid. You know? And I'm not a Michigan fan. And I think it's fucking ridiculous. It's stupid. It's fucking stupid. I don't see how they could do it legally
They
to
can't.
suspend him.
That's the thing.
That's why Michigan's going to win in court.
Correct.
Exactly. They're going to win in court. And you know what, Jim Harbaugh? Sue them and put the rest of that money that you already got from fucking U of M, put that shit and maybe go buy fucking stock in Tesla or do something like that, because you know what? The fucking school's already giving you fucking $100 million. You don't even need to coach anymore. Go play with your fucking chickens. Isn't that what you were talking about the other day? Your chickens?
So
Go
that's
play with your fucking chicken.
You just named a whole separate problem. Is that the
Bruce is playing with his chicken right now.
The Michigan lawyers have woken up now during this, and that's the last thing you want, because they're annoying, they're arrogant, and they're fucking damn good at their job. So you woke up a team of lawyers.
Anybody who's a Michigan fan is annoying, arrogant. And,
You woke up a team
damn
of
good at
lawyers
their job.
that
Same
would
thing about
love.
any MSU fan.
You woke up a
Ohio
team of
State
lawyers that
fan.
would
Yeah, they're all
love to take the
ridiculous,
Big
dude.
Ten down. You would
They're all
love to take
fucking
the Big Ten down.
ridiculous.
Amen.
Anyways, do you have
God
anything to add?
No.
Zolo, anything to add?
No, I thought that was fantastic. I'm happy to be back. I would love to tell you guys about SoFi. I had a great experience at SoFi.
That could be your one thing to add. Go ahead.
No, it'll take too long. I had such a good day Sunday.
Go ahead. I want to hear it.
Quick roundup.
Quick roundup. I walked through Thunder Alley, which is there. The Chargers actually have a fan base, unlike the Rams. It's not as big, but it exists. And I walked through the Chargers tailgate. It was incredible. I was lucky enough to have club level seats. And a guy I was with, a friend of mine, Rob, he's a little older than us, but he's a doctor. And he's born in Toronto, grew up in Orange County. He did his residency here at Beaumont 10 years ago, and guess who his attending doctor was? It was Chris Hutchinson, Aiden Hutchinson's dad.
Huh.
So he's friends with Hutchinson's dad, and he already has the club level tickets to where we can go on the terrace and see the players right in front of you. So he texts Chris Hutchinson, who came down, said hi to us, took a picture. Their club level was beautiful, all you can eat, all you can drink. I was sneaking drinks to everyone that was in the club level the entire game. Great seats, beautiful venue, beautiful sight lines. It was basically a home game. And then obviously after the game was great. I met Tim Robinson and Sam Richardson. They were in the section next to us, which was fucking awesome. Tim Robinson's a comedian from Detroit. They had the show Detroiters. He was an SNL writer, but he's known for I Think You Should Leave on Netflix, which is, I've been watching it for 4 years religiously.
You sure about that?
Yeah, have you seen that guy? You sure about that?
Okay.
So I met those guys after the game. By chance, we went down. I was in the 9th row. I went down to the front row to see the team off at the end of the game. And I was walking back up, and all of my party missed them. But I looked to the left. I'm like, no fucking way. So it was really cool. And it was just a great experience. I had a blast. And I recommend SoFi to anyone that's able to make the
100%
trip
agree
at some
with you
point.
there. Yeah, SoFi was a great stadium. Bruce, anything to add?
Go blue, baby.
Thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Tip Balls Podcast. Make sure to follow our socials, Instagram and Twitter at Tip Balls, TikTok at Tip Balls Podcast. If you're listening to us on Spotify or Apple Music, check us out on YouTube. Remember to subscribe so you know when we go live, and join us in the chat every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Thank you guys so much for listening. Thanks for joining us in the chat. You will hear from us on Friday for the picks.